Hey there fam, I'm sure you know about the well-known theory Genesect is an upgraded Kabutops. We don't really believe that is the case because there are some contradicting points. And by we, I mean today I'm being joined by a fellow Pokemon theorist, Axelian.
What's going on guys, Axelian here, and today I'm helping Ovi disprove the popular Genesect Kabutops theory.
Well, let's begin by explaining the basis of the original theory. Care to do the honors, Axelian?
Of course. So the main theory is based on 5 main points. The first and most convincing point is that both Genesect and Kabuto's Pokedex entry mention that they lived 300 million years in the past, while both Genesect and Kabutops' entries mention that they're both known as feared hunters. On top of that, Genesect and Kabutops have pretty similar body structure, blade-like hands, and nearly identical head shapes.
This all seems very convincing. However, after the introduction of Genesect, we received a movie that creates some contradicting points to this theory. But before we dive into that, we need to discuss what these Pokemon are most likely based on. Let's start with the most obvious one, Kabuto, which is based on the horseshoe crab.
The horseshoe crab were aquatic arthropods that lived roughly 450 million years ago and can still be found today in some areas. Kabuto also shares a lot in common with the trilobite, which lived roughly 540 to 270 million years ago. The connection between them and Kabuto is pretty easy to see.
So it seems that whoever is writing these Pokedex entries is doing their research, as the suggested time frames matches with the parallel versions in our history. Kabutops, on the other hand, is most likely based on the ancient sea scorpions, who were in fact the great hunters of the sea. And as the usual theory suggests, this is also the animal that Genesect is based on. However, we don't believe that to be true.
Well, let's take a look at Genesect. It's known as the Paleozoic Pokemon, and as the Paleozoic period was 542 to 241 million years ago, the 300 million year old species would have been a perfect fit for that time. This period was famous for giant insects running rampant, and Genesect and Kabutops would have been among the most powerful of those species.
Yep, we believe that Genesect's original form is different. They are in fact very similar, but there is a key difference. There's something that really bothers us when watching the Genesect movie, and that is what all the Genesect call their home. And as seen in the flashbacks, it seems to be a giant lake full of lotus.
This might not seem very significant, but it's actually a huge continuity problem because lotus only grow in fresh water, which implies that Genesect would have had to be a freshwater Pokemon. And as Kabutops is the hunter of the sea, it couldn't really have lived anywhere near lotus.
Not all hope is lost. If Pokemon is in fact referenced in real-life prehistoric history, about 390 million years ago, a creature known as the Genesect, or however you pronounce this thing, roamed freshwater lakes and rivers. Known as the largest of the sea scorpions ever recorded, this monster is in the records for being as long as over 8.2 feet long.
As it was much bigger than the horseshoe crab or Eurypterides, this most likely would have made the Jackalopeus an even more feared hunter. Other issues that separate Kabutops include the height and body shape. Genesect stands about 8 inches taller than Kabutops, and some would attribute this to the cannon on his back, which admittedly could be true. However, when you consider the rest of its body, there's some pretty big differences. Mainly the thorax on Genesect bulbs out while Kabutops comes to a quick point.
Another interesting point is the fact that Genesect is in fact a legendary Pokemon, while Kabutops is just simply a fossil Pokemon. This is yet another contradicting point to the original theory. If our speculations have some truth to it, most likely Genesect was revered as a legendary Pokemon for being the largest and strongest of the hunters during its period of time.
So while Kabutops and Genesect were both feared hunters, it's most likely the case that they were from separate habitats. Kabutops would have lived in the sea while Genesect lived in freshwater, but either way, I'm not so sure that I'd want to be caught out by either of these two terrifying sea scorpions.
Well, there you have it fam. I hope that you enjoyed this more science-y theory for a change. I want to give big thanks to Axelian for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. So, if you're in the mood for more Pokemon theories, you should definitely check his channel out.
For example, if you've ever wondered where Fairy-type Pokemon or Gengar come from, check out the video that's linked on screen right now to find out.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, Pokemon fans.